Are you about to waste your hard-earned money on a projector that'll leave you staring at a blurry mess? Before you click that buy button, you need to see this list. I've tested countless projectors, and today I'm revealing the 10 brands that consistently disappoint buyers. From fake brightness claims to image quality that looks like it's from the 1990s, these projectors promise the world, but deliver nothing but regret. If you're serious about getting a quality viewing experience without throwing your money away, stick around until number 1, because that's where things get really shocking. Let's dive in. Number 10. Vankyo. Let me tell you about Vankyo, a brand that floods online marketplaces with projectors that look impressive on paper but fall apart in real-world use. The biggest issue with Vankyo projectors is their misleading brightness specifications. They claim numbers like 8,000 lumens or even higher, but the actual ANSI lumens are usually under 200. This means you'll struggle to see a clear image even in a moderately lit room. The native resolution is typically 480 EP, despite marketing claims suggesting higher quality. Build quality is another major concern, with plastic components that feel flimsy right out of the box. The cooling fans are incredibly loud, making it impossible to enjoy quiet movie scenes. Customer reviews consistently mention the projector dying within months of regular use. The lens quality produces soft, unfocused images around the edges, no matter how much you adjust. Color accuracy is poor, with washed-out reds and artificial-looking skin tones. The input lag makes these projectors terrible for any kind of gaming. Remote controls frequently malfunction or stop working entirely after a few weeks. The lamp life is significantly shorter than advertised, requiring costly replacements. Software and firmware updates are non-existent, leaving you stuck with whatever bugs came in the box. When you consider all these factors, Vankyo projectors represent poor value for anyone seeking a reliable viewing experience. Number 9. AuKing. AuKing projectors are another example of brands that prioritize marketing over actual performance and build quality. The company makes outrageous claims about brightness and resolution that don't match reality at all. When you unbox an AuKing projector, the first thing you notice is the cheap plastic construction. The focus wheel feels loose and doesn't hold its position, meaning you'll constantly readjust during viewing. Image quality is severely lacking, with poor contrast ratios that make dark scenes almost unwatchable. The native resolution is typically much lower than what's advertised in the product listings. Color reproduction is terrible, giving everything an unnatural tint that no amount of adjustment can fix. These projectors overheat quickly, and the cooling system sounds like a hairdryer running at full blast. The keystone correction feature is digital rather than optical, which further degrades image quality. Connectivity options are limited, and the HDMI ports often fail within the first few months. The built-in speakers are absolutely worthless, producing tinny sound with zero bass response. Customer support is virtually non-existent, with email responses taking weeks, if they come at all. The warranty process is frustrating, often requiring you to ship the unit overseas at your own expense. Many users report complete failure within 6 months of purchase, making this a risky choice. AuKing projectors might seem tempting due to their low price point, but they'll cost you more in frustration and replacement. Number 8. WiMiUS. WiMiUS represents everything that's wrong with the current budget projector market flooding online retailers. This brand specializes in creating attractive product photos that bear little resemblance to what you actually receive. The advertised specifications are inflated to ridiculous degrees, especially regarding brightness and contrast measurements. When you power on a WiMiUS projector, you will immediately notice how dim the image appears. Even in complete darkness, The picture lacks the punch and clarity needed for an enjoyable viewing experience. The color wheel mechanism is poorly implemented, creating rainbow artifacts that are especially noticeable to sensitive viewers. Focus is inconsistent across the projected image, with corners and edges appearing blurry regardless of adjustment. The lens itself seems to be made from low-grade plastic rather than glass, affecting overall sharpness. Heat management is terrible, with the projector becoming uncomfortably hot after just 30 minutes of use. The fan noise increases as the unit heats up, eventually drowning out dialogue in movies. Remote control range is extremely limited, requiring you to point directly at the sensor from close range. The user interface is clunky and confusing, making simple adjustments more complicated than necessary. Input lag is significant, making these projectors completely unsuitable for gaming or sports viewing. The lamp burns out much faster than claimed, and replacement lamps are difficult to source. WiMiUS projectors are a perfect example of why extremely low prices should raise red flags. Number 7. Yaber. Yaber has managed to generate sales through aggressive marketing, but the products themselves tell a different story entirely. The company floods review sections with suspicious 5-star ratings that don't match genuine user experiences. Build quality is substandard, with components that feel like they could break from normal handling. The projector's actual brightness is a fraction of what's advertised, making daytime viewing nearly impossible. Native resolution is typically 720p at best, despite claims of supporting higher resolutions. The cooling system is inadequate, leading to thermal shutdowns during extended viewing sessions. Image uniformity is poor, with noticeable bright spots and dark areas across the projection surface. The autofocus feature, when included, rarely works correctly and often makes the image worse. Keystone correction is limited and creates additional image distortion when pushed to its limits. The built-in Android system, if present, runs slowly and crashes frequently during use. Wi-Fi connectivity is unreliable, constantly dropping connections or failing to connect at all. The projector's throw ratio isn't accurately specified, making it difficult to plan your room setup properly. Color calibration is way off out of the box, and manual adjustments can only improve things marginally. Customer service responds slowly and often provides generic troubleshooting steps that don't solve actual problems. Yaber projectors might work for occasional casual use, but they're not reliable for regular viewing. Number 6. ONOAYO. ONOAYO is a relatively unknown brand that copies designs from other manufacturers while using cheaper internal components. These projectors suffer from extremely poor quality control, with defects appearing right out of the packaging. The brightness claims are wildly exaggerated, with actual output being dim even in moderately dark environments. Image sharpness is disappointing, creating a soft, unfocused picture that strains your eyes during viewing. The contrast ratio is so poor that you lose detail in both dark and bright areas simultaneously. Build materials feel flimsy and cheap, with panels that creak and flex under minimal pressure. The projection lens collects dust easily and has no proper sealing to protect internal components. Fan noise is excessive and intrusive, making it difficult to hear dialogue without cranking up external speakers. The remote control is unresponsive, often requiring multiple button presses to register a single command. Heat dissipation is poorly designed, causing the projector to become uncomfortably hot during normal operation. The lamp life is significantly shorter than advertised, burning out after just a few hundred hours. Connection ports feel loose and don't grip cables securely, leading to intermittent signal loss. The onboard software, when included, is outdated and lacks support for modern streaming apps. Warranty support is practically non-existent, with the company being difficult to contact for issues. ONOAYO projectors represent a gamble that rarely pays off for consumers seeking reliable performance. Number 5. Dr. J. Dr. J projectors have become popular on various marketplaces, but this popularity isn't based on actual quality or performance. The brand uses deceptive marketing tactics, showing images that were clearly not produced by their projectors. Brightness specifications are completely fictional, with claimed lumens being 10 times higher than actual output. The native resolution is extremely low, typically 480p, making modern content look pixelated and blurry. Color accuracy is terrible, with oversaturated, unnatural colors that can't be corrected through settings adjustments. The projection lamp is of poor quality and often develops dead spots or uneven illumination patterns. Cooling is inadequate for the heat generated, leading to frequent thermal protection shutdowns. The focus mechanism is stiff and imprecise, making it nearly impossible to achieve a perfectly sharp image. Build quality is shoddy, with plastic parts that crack or break under normal use conditions. The keystone correction range is limited and introduces significant image quality degradation when used. Sound from the built-in speakers is distorted and lacks any semblance of clarity or volume. The user manual is poorly translated and often contains incorrect information about the projector's capabilities. Firmware bugs are common and never addressed through updates since the company doesn't provide them. Customer complaints about early failures are widespread across multiple review platforms and forums. Dr. J projectors are a prime example of marketing hype vastly exceeding actual product capabilities. Number 4. GooDee. GooDee projectors represent another disappointment in the crowded budget projector marketplace filled with questionable products. The company makes bold claims about their technology that simply don't hold up under actual testing. Image brightness is severely lacking, requiring complete darkness to see even a moderately acceptable picture. The advertised resolution is misleading, as these projectors merely accept higher resolution input but display at much lower quality. Focus uniformity is poor, with the center being somewhat sharp while edges and corners remain perpetually blurry. The lamp technology used is outdated and inefficient, producing weak light output while generating excessive heat. Cooling fans are loud enough to be heard clearly over normal dialogue volume in movies. The projector housing feels cheap and lightweight, with gaps between panels and poor overall assembly quality. Remote control reliability is questionable, with buttons that stick or fail to respond consistently. Color balance is way off, creating unnatural skin tones and inaccurate color representation across all content. The throw distance calculations provided by the manufacturer are inaccurate, making setup planning difficult. Input ports are poorly positioned and lack proper strain relief, leading to connector damage over time. The onboard operating system, when present, is sluggish and frequently freezes or crashes during use. Warranty claims are difficult to process, with the company often blaming user error for manufacturing defects. GooDee projectors might seem attractive due to pricing, but they fail to deliver satisfactory performance. Number 3. Artlii. Artlii has positioned itself as a budget option, but budget shouldn't mean accepting fundamentally flawed products. These projectors suffer from severe brightness deficiencies that make them useless in anything but pitch-black rooms. The advertised lumen counts are completely fabricated, bearing no relationship to actual light output measurements. Native resolution is typically limited to 480p or 720p maximum. Image quality is soft and lacking in detail, making text difficult to read, and fine details impossible to discern. The contrast ratio is so poor that dark scenes become muddy gray masses without any distinguishable detail. Build quality is exceptionally cheap, with thin plastic housing that cracks easily under minor stress. The projection lens is made from plastic rather than glass, resulting in chromatic aberration and poor sharpness. Heat management is terrible, with the projector becoming dangerously hot during extended operation periods. Fan noise increases dramatically as the unit heats up, eventually becoming the loudest sound in the room. The focus ring is loose and doesn't maintain its position, requiring constant readjustment throughout viewing. Keystone correction is purely digital, which crops and stretches the image, reducing quality even further. Connection reliability is poor, with HDMI handshake issues causing frequent signal dropouts and black screens. The lamp life is much shorter than claimed, often failing completely within the first year of moderate use. Artlii projectors demonstrate why extremely low prices usually indicate extremely low quality and reliability. Number 2. Elephas projectors have flooded online marketplaces with countless models that are essentially the same mediocre product rebranded repeatedly. The company engages in specification inflation that borders on false advertising with their brightness and resolution claims. Actual brightness is a tiny fraction of advertised figures, making these projectors dim even in dark environments. Image sharpness is poor across the entire projection area, with no amount of focus adjustment improving clarity. The color gamut is extremely limited, producing washed-out, lifeless images that lack vibrancy and accuracy. Uniformity is terrible, with visible hot spots in the center and darkening toward the edges of the image. The projector lamp is low quality and prone to developing dead pixels or dark spots quickly. Cooling is completely inadequate, with the projector overheating and shutting down during normal viewing sessions. Fan noise is excessive and intrusive, making it necessary to use external speakers to hear anything clearly. Build materials are the cheapest possible plastic, with components that feel like they'll break at any moment. The remote control is poorly designed with mushy buttons that don't provide tactile feedback when pressed. Input lag is significant, making these projectors terrible for gaming or any interactive content. The throw ratio specifications are inaccurate, making it impossible to properly plan your installation setup. Customer support is virtually non-existent, with emails going unanswered and phone numbers leading to voicemail. Elephas projectors are perfect examples of products designed to capture impulse purchases rather than provide lasting value. Number 1. Generic no-name Chinese projectors. At the very bottom of the barrel, we have generic no-name Chinese projectors that don't even bother with consistent branding. These products appear under different random names across various marketplaces, all selling identical units from the same factories. The specifications listed are pure fantasy, with claimed brightness levels that would require commercial-grade equipment to achieve. What you actually receive is a projector with perhaps 100 ANSI lumens or less of actual output. Image quality is abysmal, resembling what you might have seen from office projectors 20 years ago. The native resolution is often as low as 320 by 240 pixels. Build quality doesn't exist as a concept with these products, which are assembled with the absolute cheapest materials available. The projection lamp is weak and inefficient, often dying completely within just a few dozen hours of use. There's no proper cooling system, just a cheap fan that does little to prevent overheating and thermal damage. Focus is achieved through a manual slider that's so loose it shifts position from the projector's own vibration. Color reproduction is terrible, with everything appearing in unnatural, oversaturated hues that hurt to look at. There's zero customer support since these sellers disappear and rebrand constantly to avoid negative feedback. The warranty, if any exists, is meaningless because you'll never be able to contact the seller after purchase. These projectors often arrive damaged, dead on arrival, or simply stop working after a few uses. Generic, no-name Chinese projectors represent the absolute worst purchasing decision you can make in this category.